Time's an appropriate greeting to you and welcome back to the channel. Today's community spotlight is the blue half of the autumn double act that, when combined, form the hobby positive YouTube channel Geeks Wargaming. Welcome, Rich.
Hello everybody.
So welcome to our community spotlight, where I interview people who I fanboy out to.
I would definitely take a fanboy.
Yeah.
That sounds wrong. Wait.
So, Rich, thanks for taking part. How did you get into the hobby of tabletop wargaming?
Many years ago, and it's actually kind of Robin's fault. So there's a mutual friend between me and Robin, which is Peter. Pete was into the hobby and then got Robin into it. And then I met Robin when I was 12 and Robin was about 11, so many years ago. And I just remember going around, and I think they were playing Carpet Hammer at the time. And I think Pete had Space Wolves, and I think Robin had Eldari and Eldar. And I was like, wow, what is all this? This is so cool. And I sat and watched, and I was like, that was it. It was game over, and it was just a case of a 12-year-old boy with little spacemen running around shooting each other and dreadnoughts running around, even the old metal ones. I was just like, I need a piece of this in my life. So technically it's Peter's, but I'm gonna blame Robin for it, basically.
I didn't actually know he was younger than you. I've always thought he was the older one.
No, I'll take the compliment, thank you, and you can. Yeah. I will definitely laugh at Robin next time I see him. He does look older than me, but no, he's a 1 whole year younger than me. He's just had a very, very hard paper round growing up.
Bless him. What type of hobbyist are you? A painter, gamer, collector, or a bit of a mix?
Probably a bit of a mix. Painting is one of those things that we have to get done on the channel. So one of the rules we have at Geeks is everything has to be fully painted and based before it be on the channel, because we don't do greys in our battle reports. So that drives me to paint everything up. It's probably my least favourite bit, I think, but collector, definitely. I've got almost all of the Horus Heresy Primarchs that are in a display cabinet. I brought a Reaver Titan that sits in a display cabinet, and that, but mostly a gamer. I do enjoy the getting together and having games. So yeah, I'd probably say a mix between a collector and a gamer. And there's Age of Sigmar models out there that I look at going, oh, I'd love to buy that and paint it up. Same with Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit. You look at the dragon, the Smaug dragon, and it's like, oh, I'd love to have a go at doing that. So yeah, a collector and a gamer. There you go, bit of a mix.
What game systems do you play? Are you simply a one-person game system, or do you start to spread out?
Spread out. So I'd say over the last 2 years, we've been getting more and more into bolt action, which is a gaming system that we cover on the channel. And something that period of history. I mean, I love my history anyway, but that period around the Second World War is something that I've always been really interested in. It's a trait in my family. My dad's a war reenactor, and he covers a lot of that period, and so are some of my uncles and my cousins. So it's something that runs in the family, and it was one of those games that I always looked at thinking, I'd love to give that a go. I was after being into this hobby, 40k hobby, for such a long time, the idea of going off and painting other miniatures was quite daunting, because obviously they're smaller scale, and I was a bit like, oh, how am I going to do them? And it's a bit more realistic, so you've got to be truthful. Where in 40k and the Games Workshop thing, you can do your own flavour, and you can do, oh, I haven't done that the right colour. It doesn't matter. I'll do that in my own chapter. You can't do that with historical wargaming. You kind of have to be spot on. So that was always quite daunting. We got Blood Red Skies coming up on the channel as well, once I've finished painting the Messerschmitts. So yeah, we're broaden out into more games. The heart and soul of us will always be 40k. It's what we've played since a kid. But yeah, there's definitely scope out there. It's like we play X-Wing. I've got Legion. Once Legion's painted up, which I've had for 2 years, that we'll get battle reports of that onto the channel. But I probably wouldn't hold your breath, as I've had it for 2 years.
What was the aspect of the hobby that first caught your eye when you were starting out? Was it maybe the lore, the fluff, the models themselves?
It's the models, 100%. As a 12-year-old kid, I didn't care about fluff or the law or the rules or anything like that. I'm massively into Star Wars. It's one of my other passions is Star Wars, and a 12-year-old boy that sees a Space Marine just goes, that looks like a Stormtrooper. So my first ever chapter was a take on Stormtroopers, and I had Darth Vader as a captain running around. There's an old metal captain with his sword out to the side, and he had a plume across his head. I cut the plume off, painted in black, give him a red sword, looked like a lightsaber. I was all over that, and created my own chapter that basically was a carbon copy of Stormtroopers and Darth Vader, and running around all over the place. And it was that bit that got me into the hobby. It was they just looked like Stormtroopers, and I was like, yep, I'll have me some of this. Thank you very much.
What advice would you give someone just starting out in the hobby, or maybe your younger self, now you've been involved for a while?
We did a Q&A probably at the very start of the lockdown here in the UK, and we had a question like that, and it took quite a long time to think about the answer about what you'd tell yourself or your younger self, or new people coming into the hobby. And I think the bit that both me and Robin agreed on, without talking, which is kind of scary, was don't judge yourself by other people's work, especially nowadays in the world of social media and Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and everywhere that we see people's painted up armies. Just be proud of what you do. It doesn't matter if when you look online you go, oh, actually it's not that good compared to. Don't do that. Just be pleased and proud with what you've produced, and then you'll learn as you get better, and as you spend more time painting and more time doing this hobby, you'll learn all the different skills and techniques. Don't rush in. Take your time as well. Take your time while painting. But yeah, just don't judge yourself, and just always be proud of what you've produced. And then in years' time, when you look back at your very first painted miniature compared to the one that you've just done, you'll be like, wow, that first one was terrible. But at the time, love it, and just appreciate the work that you've put into it, really. That's probably the best thing I'd say. Don't get disheartened.
Have you ever had an extended period out of the hobby?
Yes, I think probably similar to most people out there, you get to I was probably about 14, 15, and you find beer and girls, and then this hobby takes a very big backseat. So I probably took 5-6 years out of this hobby, something like that, and everything was all boxed up in my dad's loft and was never to be seen again, basically. So yeah, it's an age-old answer. You get to a certain age and he's like, this is far too geeky. I've found beer and I found girls. And then the hobby takes a back seat, unfortunately.
How did you get sucked back in?
This is actually Dan Abnett's fault. And I have actually spoken to Dan Abnett and actually said, mate, all of this is your fault. So I was in Birmingham, which is probably my local city, in one of the Waterstones. And I was walking through, and the first Horus Heresy novel written by Dan Abnett was sitting on a shelf. And I was like, what is this? And I was with my girlfriend at the time. And I remember taking the book off the shelf and going, oh, they've actually written a novel about the Horus Heresy. So I had to buy it. And I got home and I started reading it straight away. And I was probably about 2 chapters in. I literally put the book down, went straight to my dad's house, got everything out the loft, went back home, at which point my girlfriend went, what the hell is all of this? Had to try and explain it to her, what it was. And yeah, that was it then. That was everything back in, and then it was looking on the Games Workshop website and catching up with everything that I'd missed. So we came in 2nd edition. I think I missed 4th edition. We went out I think we left in edition 3, and then missed a whole bit. And then just going onto the Games Workshop and immersing myself back into it, I was like, oh, it was so good. It was like a little kid at Christmas. It was amazing. But yeah, it is literally Dan Abnett's fault. But so yeah, thanks, Dan.
What's the best part about the hobby for you?
Do you know what? It's got to be the social side of it and meeting everybody as well. And one of the things about having the YouTube channels allowed me to do is things like this, and that's cool. It's get to meet people that I haven't met before and talk about hobby, going to tournaments like the ones over in Gibraltar with the SN guys, and the ones that Ace Face used to run, or John from Twisted Dice, up in Southport as was. And just getting together. To me, the weekends for hobby and tournaments and things like that, the best bit for me is always after, when you go out for the meal and you go out for a couple of beers, and then I'm old, so I go to bed early, and then you hear the stories from the younger ones, and like, oh, I remember when I used to do crazy stuff like that. And it's that side of it for me. It's just the immersion of everybody and seeing everybody's passion in this hobby that having a YouTube channel's allowed me to touch into. So you touch into people's lives, you see what they're building and what they're working on, and it's that element of the hobby I adore. I love that whole getting together and having a laugh and making friends, which has been one of the big things for me from like YouTube and mainly tournament scenes. It's getting to meet people, and I love that bit.
On the flip side, what's the worst part about the hobby for you?
Am I allowed to have the social side? No. It's sometimes meeting people. That it's a hard one. I'd probably say if you're under pressure to get a tournament army finished and painted, and you've got to build and paint, and you've got to paint up 30 of the same miniature, that to me is the real slog. And it doesn't just have to be 40k, it could be whatever hobby you're into. If you're painting the same thing over and over and over again, you do get hobby burnout. So that to me is probably the big thing as well. That's probably the biggest downside to the hobby is it's the slog. It's like, you'll go buy a brand new box set and you're like, yeah, I've got loads of stuff to paint. You'll be 10 miniatures in, you'll be like, oh, I've still got loads of stuff to paint. So that's always a bit of a downside as well. So yeah, I'd probably say that, to be honest.
So how do you deal with the lack of hobby mojo or burnout situation?
Take a break. Have a little bit of a break from it. Having the YouTube channel means that we have to have new units and new armies all painted up, ready to go. But sometimes you just have to step away from it, and you have to have the break from the painting. And I just immerse myself in videos on YouTube, or I play on the PlayStation or the PC, and just literally have a little bit of a break. It might only be 2 or 3 nights, or maybe a week or 2, and it's enough that I need to have to get my mojo back, and then back into painting straight away. Or sometimes what I'm very guilty of doing is painting 2 things alongside each other. So I might be painting up one thing for bolt action and one thing for 40k, which are 2 completely different painting styles and 2 completely scales and hobby. But that helps as well. So just multitasking between your painting. So I don't want to paint up bolt action tonight. I'll concentrate on my 40k, or the other way around, or I'll do a little bit on this, then I'll do a little bit over here. That helps. But if I get complete hobby burnout, it's just put the paintbrushes down, step away, go read my Horace Harris novels, or play on the PlayStation. Just have a bit of a break, and the love comes back very quickly.
Has anyone inspired your hobby style or life?
There are quite a few people that I've met over the years that probably have inspired me. Painting wise, it's probably some of the people that I've met. Andy Wardle, he's such an amazing painter. He's phenomenal, and actually he's disgusting. He is a disgustingly good painter. He's won Slayer's Sword, he's won Golden Demon, and again, it's that whole not judging yourself compared to other people, but maybe learning their techniques and what they've done. And I've had the pleasure of meeting Andy over in Gibraltar, and just standing there talking about how he does it and his techniques helps your hobby along the way. So there's definitely a lot of people, a lot of the old store managers as well, going back when I was a kid, at my local games workshop, always inspired me. They were so enthusiastic, and you could hear the wahs being yelled out about half a mile away. They're always really enthusiastic, and as a young kid walking into a hobby store, it was great to see and immerse yourself in. So yeah, it's always that side for me. There's been a lot of people, I'd say. I'm not saying Robin ever. I'm not ever giving Robin credit for anything ever, because I have actually. I'm going to say this now. I've actually won more painting awards than Robin, even though Robin is a much better painter than me, and he hates the fact. He hates it, and I'm just had to say it. So if he doesn't say me when he's like, if you ask him who's inspired you, if he doesn't say me, I'm going to cry.
Okay.
He won't at all ever.
What projects are you working on at the moment?
I'm actually doing that multiple painting thing at the moment. So I am currently painting up British Airborne for our bolt action. I've had 3 squads of 10 British Airborne to do, and I'm coming to the end of the 30. And then I've got a few other things to do, like light mortars, and there's a anti-tank cannon that I've got to paint up. So I'm painting them up at the moment. And here's an exclusive. I haven't actually put any of this out on social. I'm also painting up Chaos Space Marines. So Chaos Space Marines was one of my first armies when I got back into this hobby. And they've been on the channel, but probably not on the channel for at least 3 years, because I wasn't a big fan of their codex in 7th. I didn't really like it, so I parked them and I never really used them. I was more my Orcs, my Drakari, my Space Wolves, and my Ultramarines. But I had Abaddon sitting under my bed in my big pile of grey stuff that still needs painting up, and I was like, you know what, I fancy having a bit of a change. I fancy having a bit of something different to paint up. So I've painted him up. He's finished, and I'm just started to paint up some more Chaos Space Marines. So they will be coming into a battle report once I finish painting them up and adding to the forces. I'm really looking forward to getting them back on as well, actually. So yeah, there's a little exclusive for you. I'm working on my Black Legion Chaos Space Marines as well as my bolt action. So yeah, multiple painting.
With you doing projects which are aimed towards improving the channel's armies and scenery collections, are all these things planned out? For example, for 1 year you'd say, I want a Tyranid army for this year, and then more scenery for bolt action. So would you separate them between months, like April, May, June? I'll do this.
I'd like to say yes, because that makes it sound like we really know what we're doing. The answer is no, and we're always from that generation of the rule of cool. So it's kind of like, that miniature looks awesome, I'm going to paint that up first. And that's kind of what I do still now. It's like, do you know what, I really want to paint that up because it looks brilliant. It might not have the best rules, but it looks fantastic. It's like I've spent weeks painting up Vulcan for the Horus Heresy Primarch. I'm never going to use him. I do not own a Salamander's 30k army. He sits in my display cabinet. So that wasn't for the good of the channel. That was literally, I really want to paint up Vulcan. So I went and got Vulcan and added him to my collection. Yes, okay, I've then done a Primarch mini-series where I've showcased all my Primarchs that I've painted up. So in the long run, it did help the channel. But in the short term, it's like, nah, that'll do. What's in my big box of greys? What's cool? Let's get that out. So yeah, I'll say yes, we know what we're doing and we planned it, but the answer's no.
If your budget was unlimited, if you could only buy one army, what would it be?
Do you know what? I was thinking of this. I'm not allowed to say two, am I? So I'm going to have to say my Space Wolves. I think I'm going to have to say my Space Wolves. I adore them. I think they're absolutely brilliant. And I'm torn between my Ultramarines because I'm such, like you said, boy in blue. And again, that's down to the Horus Heresy as well. They were always the poster boy, and everybody hated the Ultramarines. And then I read No Fear, and I was like, no, I need to do a 30k Ultramarines army, which I then did, which then expanded into 40k. But when I finished my Black Legion and I started to pick up Orcs, I also started to pick up Space Wolves as well. And Space Wolves is just one of those armies that I love. I'm very much a close combat person. I love getting in and smashing your face at close quarters rather than sitting back and shooting, hence Orcs and Space Wolves. And I just love the way Space Wolves play, and the Wolfen they've got and their Thunderwolf cavalry are amazing, and I love them. People are like, no, they're not that good. They really are. But yeah, Space Wolves, definitely. That's a scary thought, though, only ever collecting one army ever again. Who would you pick, Matt? I'm going to turn the question over to you. Come on, who would you go with?
I would go.
Put you on the spot now.
Death Corps of Krieg.
Oh, good choice. Yeah. Good choice. Yeah, good choice. I like that.
I mean, I've got 1,000 points of them, and it's been built towards us doing battle reports next year.
Yeah.
Just doing 1,000 point battle reports at a time, and then. So I've got a sneaky 1,000 points sorted out with a load of engineers, and it's not a very nice list, but it's the benefits of playing against guys I've known now for 20 years that feelings sort of went out the window a long time ago. And
yeah, that's like me and Robin. I've known him a long time. He's like, I don't care if I beat you, I don't care if I smash you. No, I don't care.
Yeah,
I've known you too long.
So I'd say Krieg. But pure assault infantry force, well, mainly because they're resin and they cost a kidney,
Well, yeah, they do. You have to literally remortgage your house for anything with that army. But they look amazing. They are a good choice.
Because, well, they no longer do Elysians, so I would have said Elysians first.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, true.
What do you hope to improve about your hobbying in the future?
Probably my painting. I'd have thought there's. When you compare my style to Robin's style, my style's very dirty and rugged, which is why I think my painting style suits bolt action, because obviously they're very grounded in the Second World War and in the theatre of war in Normandy, so they are quite dirty. And my painting style seems to suit bolt action, where Robin is very clean and very precise, and he's just done the Primaris Captain from the Indomitus box set on our Instagram page, and it looks stunning. improved himself by learning techniques that he's learned online and talking to people. So I think that's probably my next area of my painting is to improve. And I'm very happy with what I produce, and I'm very proud of what I produce. I just think that I could get better, and I think that's probably going to be my focus now is to improve my painting, I think.
That's perfect. That is the end of part A. We had to take a little break because I drank too much tea today. I'll come back with part B in a minute. Hey, it's just Matt here, so a big thank you for listening so far, and if you're liking this sort of stuff, a sub is always appreciated. Like and comment below. We've got 9 more in this season planned, so hopefully we'll see you back on the channel very soon. And next, part B. And welcome back to part 2. So Rich, did you manage to get much hobbying done during the UK lockdown recently?
Yeah, quite a bit actually. Again, it was the British Airborne for bolt action. Managed to get some of the Blood Red Skies done as well, so managed to get the Spitfires finished and quite a few of the Messerschmitts done. I think you get 6 in a box of each, so I think I've got about 4 Messerschmitts left to paint. What else did I do? Basically, yes, I managed to get my big piles of grey that were underneath my bed out and get quite a lot of them painted up. I've added to my Orcs with Gaz that needed painting up, and Macarai, and some more Mega Knobs, and a big mech with a custom force field and Mega Armour as well. I've added that. Little bits to my Space Wolves, but yeah, mostly bolt action and scenery as well. So we're lucky enough to have been sent quite a beautiful sets of scenery from Foreground, and one of them was the Stone Hotel, which is a 3-story building, and their scenery is great where the roof comes off and the levels are all different, and I've built that up as well during lockdown as well. So yeah, it's been more nothing focused apart from the bolt action British Airborne. It's been, I want to go paint this, and I want to go paint that, and I want to add this, and I want to add that, and just getting things ready so we could start filming battle reports again as soon as lockdown was, well, we were given the okay, which we were a couple of weeks ago now in the UK. So me and Robin are busy. Robin's been busy as well, so it's all good. Yeah, managed to get quite a bit done, as well as live a little bit of a life that he was allowed during lockdown, like going to the shops. That was about it.
The channel went through a bit of a change from originally being called Geeks 40k, focusing on 40k obviously, to Geeks Wargaming. Was this a way for yourselves to grow and showcase your other hobby loves to the wider community?
Yeah, basically it was basically down to the Horus Heresy. We started to do Horus Heresy battle reports, and then the conversation of, hang on a minute, we're called Geeks 40k and now we're doing 30k. We can't really do a second channel, and at the time that was a possibility, and it was a big thing. We'd been going for a couple of years, and everybody knew us as Geeks 40k, and that was our IP, that was our selling point. And then we went through the whole rebrand of going to Geeks Wargaming so that we could do things like the Horus Heresy, and then later down the line Bolt Action and X-Wing and you know, all these different games. And Blood Bowl as well. We've got quite a few Blood Bowl videos on the channel, and PC gaming that's to do with Games Workshop. And the name didn't allow us realistically to broaden, so we had to change our name. But that was literally weeks of discussion and lots of video calls about, are we going to do this? Is it right to do this? And for something that the YouTube started up as, do you know what, I think we can do this, we've been in this hobby for long enough, let's get a YouTube channel going, to then having nightly meetings about, should we change our name? It's like, wow, this got serious very quickly. But yeah, it was a big decision. But basically, yes, it was to do with the Horus Heresy and the fact that we were doing more and more heresy content, and yet our name didn't actually tie into it at all, so we changed so we could broaden.
You produced some stunning battle reports online for YouTube, but you put yourself out there to face criticism and trolling when you make mistakes that aren't quite caught, or maybe people's interpretations of the rules are different to yourselves. How do you deal with the criticism, the comments?
I think you have to have quite broad shoulders, and I say that, and sometimes I don't, and I take the comments to heart, and I'm like, oh. But it's one of those things you very quickly learn to get over. And I think one of the things that we all know in the world of Games Workshop is sometimes, maybe not so much with 9th, but in previous editions, the rules are very open to interpretation. And just because you read it one way isn't guaranteed to be the same way that somebody else reads it. And we've had them in 9th edition as well, where somebody will put a comment on going, no, wait, that rule is wrong, and you'll go through the rule book and go, no, hang on a minute, I was right. That is how the rule's meant to be, and you can hopefully help people out there who get the rules wrong. There are times that we do miss rules getting wrong. I think that's human nature. I'm old. I'm very forgetful, and I think the other thing that people very quickly don't realise is any of us YouTubers out there that do battle reports. A battle report can take anywhere between 5 and 8 hours to film. It can take literally all day, especially when a new rule set drops, like 9th edition. The first one we filmed, which was roughly about a 2,000 point game, literally took us 8 hours to film because we wanted to make sure all the rules were correct, and you're constantly stopping to check. On top of that, then you've got the editing, and the editing can take anywhere between 4 and 5 hours. Then you've got to load it up to YouTube and then launch it and do all of that. So you're talking a full day's work more to put a video out, and you launch a video and then all of a sudden it gets a dislike, and which in YouTube terms doesn't really actually do anything, but then you'll get a negative comment on, and you've just spent 8 hours playing, 5 to 6 hours editing, and you're like, oh man, I did miss that, damn it. Or you'll pick something up in editing and you'll have to caveat it as you go in. But I think it's human nature. There's so much you're trying to remember, especially when you're filming battle reports, that everything's in shot, everything's clear. I want to talk about this has happened, what am I going to do next? I need to elaborate on this. You've got so much going on in your head when you're filming that you're right, you do miss rules. I think it's human nature that as soon as you open yourself up to the internet, you're always going to get people commenting positively and negatively on your videos. And one of the things that we do at Geeks is we've gone back to our original format. So when we first started up, we would do a summary turn. So we'd do movement, shooting, combat, summary. What happened? What's going on? And they were really, really popular. And then when 7th edition, 8th edition was evolving, we started to show more and more dice rolling, because the likes of Tabletop Tactics were doing that, and Winter's SEO, and I'm friends with these people, and we'd have conversations, and it was a case of we need to show more dice rolling on there. But as soon as you do that, you open yourself up to more mistakes, and we've gone back with 9th while we're learning the rules to showing critical dice rolls, because you don't need to see what 30 Space Marines are shooting at. You don't need to see that. You don't need to see what Guardsmen are shooting at. That's just small arms fire. The important stuff, what Gaskell gets up to, or what Rabute Gulliman gets up to, people want to see that, and that's what we've gone back to. We've gone back to shorter battle reports, 40 minutes an hour battle reports. We're still going to make mistakes. We're human. You just have to have broad shoulders and be prepared for it, and try not to take it to heart, which, like I said, isn't always easy. But yeah, it's one of them.
With a large online following, do you feel a pressure to maintain a constant content delivery?
Always. Not so much from, well, yeah, we do feel it from the people out there, but mostly from YouTube itself, because if you don't actually produce a video within their timescales, you drop down their search results. If you don't keep people watching your video for a long time or interacting with your video, so the likes, dislikes, comments, you drop down their search results, and the more you drop down their search results, the less likely you are to be found, and that's always a bad thing for a YouTuber. You want to be found, you want people to watch your videos. So the pressure for videos actually comes from keeping on top of the YouTube algorithm out there. And I would like to say a massive thank you to everybody that's watched us over the last what is now 6 years, and taken time out to watch our videos and leave comments, and positive or negative, and give us a like and interact with us across social as well, because it's what drives us forward. And without you guys out there would be no passion to do this YouTube video malarkey that we do. It's just a couple of mates having games, having a laugh and filming, but people out there enjoy it. So yeah, we want to make sure that our battle reports are good and the rules are clean and clear and correct, which, like you said, we don't always get right. But as long as we have fun and people come along with us on the ride and have fun, that's what matters to me personally.
Do you feel that your content production could have a negative effect on your enjoyment of the hobby?
Yeah, I've always thought this, and I always at which point does your hobby and the love of your hobby become a job? And that's always been a worry. And I was in a situation where I was going up to a tournament up north, and my army wasn't fully ready, and I really had to knuckle down and paint it. And at the same time as do that, I had to film and edit and produce content for the YouTube channel. and that was a bit of a drain. That was a bit of a slog, and was very difficult to get through. And it does have a negative. You're like, I've got to edit. Oh, my girlfriend wanted to see me. I can't because I've got 6 hours of editing to do. I can't really see it tomorrow because I need to upload it and then tag it, bag it, and do all the behind the scenes thing that nobody ever gets to see with the YouTube videos, because I work all day, I get home, I then have to do it. If you've had a really pants day at work and then you come home, you're literally going to eat, sit on the sofa for 6-7 hours editing a video. It can be a lot. It can be quite a lot to do.
You've had a few guest armies on the channel now. So as playing against a different army, has one ever led you to start list hammering or maybe counting the cost of a new army?
Well, I don't know. I get hammered quite a lot on the channel, which is not always good. Like I said, I'm one of these players that wants to get into combat and smash your face in, which in 7th edition was probably not the best way to go, or the meta, where everybody just sat at the back of the battlefield and shot you as you came close. Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's been times when I've fallen out of love with my armies. My orcs have been through a love-hate relationship, and I'm back in the love bubble at the minute with my orcs because I think they're ace, especially in 9th. But yeah, there are times where you do take an absolute smashing and you're like, oh, do you know what? I don't really love them. I'm going to park them for a little bit and not use them. So yeah, it has definitely made me stop and think and go, oh, actually, do I actually want to carry on with this army? It's one of the reasons why my Chaos Space Marines have been sitting in a cupboard for the last couple of years. I fell out of love with them and never picked them back up until now. So swings and roundabouts. You love them, you hate them, you love them again. I think every hobbyist probably has the same.
So 9th has just launched. Are you happy with the new Marine releases?
I am, yeah. The Indominus box set, I think, has been brilliant. I think we are slowly starting to wave goodbye to the mini Marines before. However, saying that, I still think they have their place. They're cheap. They can go and do the raise the banner and hold objectives quite easily for really cheap points. If you want an effective tournament army, then I think Primaris is the way to go. I love the Outriders. I think the Outriders stats and the models are amazing. I love the Assault Intercessors. They're not the best, but I think they're pretty damn cool models. And again, I think that rule of cool comes in. And I'm going to split my box. There's going to be some painted up for my Ultramarines and then some painted up for my Space Wolves, because ages ago I said that my Space Wolf would say pure and not be Primaris, and then I've gone nah. And then they launched the Assault Intercessor, and I'm like, they're definitely Space Wolves. They are the Grey Hunter equivalent. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to actually starting painting those up whenever my miniatures arrive. Don't want to talk about it. It's a sore subject.
So you get a phone call from Games Workshop. They're like, come on, Richard, we need you to design a new Marine unit. What would it be like?
Do you know what? I'd have to probably update some of their current ranges, especially from the Space Wolves. It looks like we're seeing the end of like Grey Hunters and Bloodclaws with the Primaris guys, but Thunderwolf Cav or Wolfen are brilliant. I love Wolfen, but my Thunderwolf Cavalry is a unit that I absolutely love. Primaris version of them, I think we could see. Do you know Primaris running around on wolves? There's no wolves on Fenris. That's because the Primaris have them all and they're riding into battle. I quite like the sound of that personally. So I'd probably go with something like that. I'd probably go take your Primaris, stick them on a wolf, storm shields and a thunderhammer, charge. Happy days. That'd be me done, I think. It'd be quick and easy. I wouldn't charge them much.
You guys attend a lot of events. Have you ever thought about running one of your own?
Yeah, this is a conversation me and Robin have had on and off over the last couple of years. Now we've been lucky enough to be sponsored by Element Games over the last couple of years, and obviously they have their hobby centre above, and we have the option to use that. For us, we are not casual players. That's probably the wrong word, because obviously we have been to quite a lot of tournaments now. We're not full-on tournament players. We're not there for winning. We will do as best as we can. But we're there for the laugh and the social side of it. So, would I feel that we were the right people to run it and be the judges for rules queries? Not 100% sure on that. We'd probably have to bring somebody with us who was a bit more cemented down on the rules. I would love to do it. I'd love to be able to say, right, there's a Geeks Wargaming tournament, and meet more people who support and follow the channel. That would be amazing. And maybe you will. Maybe we will do that very soon. Hopefully. at some point. Caveated with a maybe. But yeah, it's an option, always an option. And now we have access to a building, which is obviously the big thing. I'm quite lucky. I'm quite in the middle of England and the UK, so there are areas around here that we could hire out. But why, when we've got a sponsor willing to help us out? So,
an enjoyable moment from a tournament that stands out for you?
Oh yeah, there's been quite a few. There was probably heresy related. I think some of my favourite tournaments have always been heresy related. I've done a couple of them, and winning the team event with some good friends was probably the highlight of any tournament I've ever been to. And like I just said, it doesn't matter where we place. And then I've gone, oh, but we won one, and then yeah, it was ace. That was a complete contradiction. But yeah, no, I think winning, but doing it in a team was amazing. And one where we had to do singles games and then doubles, and then we had to team up completely, and all four of us took on another set of four was great. And if that person with Iron Warriors is watching, sorry, I tabled you in turn 2. Yeah, that was harsh. I took my glaive; it was horrible.
June.
He had like siege bombars at the back of the battlefield, and then like the doom beam of death went all the way across and destroyed them all. I think that was fantastic, and also getting nominated for Best Painted Army in that as well, which probably means more to me than the win. It's that recognition of all that hard work you've put in, and being nominated for a painting award at Warhammer World was the pinnacle, probably. And it's little things like that I love.
Have you got any advice for people who are thinking about going to their first ever event in the future?
Have fun, enjoy it. It's there for what it is, depending on which one you go to. If you go to a smaller one, immerse yourself. Be there to make friends and be open to everybody else as well. I would always say don't go there and to be a whack player, but there are people out there who do want to go and win and will do everything to win. And if that's the kind of person you are, then that's fine, that's cool. But yeah, I'd definitely say embrace it, have a laugh, have the giggle. When the tournament's over, if there is we're going to go out to bite to eat now, go. Because that to me is always the best bit. Don't go, I'm going to go back to my hotel room, or I'm going to go home for a bit, or whatever else. If there's a couple of beers going after the event, go, because that's where you have the best laugh. That would be my best piece of advice. Go out and get drunk. Hooray!
Only if you're old enough.
Only if you're old enough, of course. Yes. There's always stick to those laws, obviously.
And in moderation.
Drink in moderation, of course. Get tipsy, don't get drunk. There you go. Yeah. Drink in moderation. But yeah, always go out for that social side of it, because it is best where some of the best laughs are. You can have great fun in the tournament, but you're normally one-on-one. And then you might get, you'll get your 3-4 games in one day and play 3 or 4 different people. But when you go out as a big group after, that's where the laugh comes in and everything else. Yeah. As I'm sure you know.
You've been producing a series called The Road to 30k. Has a series and a vlogging helped your progress with the army?
Oh, 100%. It's The Road to 30k started out from a recommendation from Ed. When I was painting it up, he was like, you know what, you should actually do little video series for this. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. It gave me the impetus to paint more. And I always said at the end of the video, this was the unit I was going to paint up next. So I couldn't go, oh, do you know what, I'm not going to paint that up, I'm going to go paint this up. I had to paint up what I said on the end of the video. So I'd always go, right, I've done my troops, I've done my HQ. I mean, I jumped around and did Gulliman first, because it's Gulliman and his 30k model is amazing. But yeah, it definitely gave me the focus and the what's the word I'm looking for? The joy, probably, to paint up what I was doing. Otherwise, I probably would have got that burn of, I've got to do this again. But because I knew there were videos coming, and the series was really popular as well, which really helped. A lot of people watched. A lot of people found our channel from The Road to 30k. And it definitely spurred me on to get everything painted up. So it definitely helps. So thanks, guys, whoever watched those videos. Thank you.
Have you got a favourite unit in 30k?
Oh, I'm going to have to go Ultramarines with this one. It's the Invictaris Suzerains. The shield and the axe guys, and they're cool helmets with the wings going up the side. And I always use them as Gulliman's bodyguards. I think they are absolutely stunning. They were probably... I brought the Heresy box set with the Ultramarines in, and I think it was the World... Was it the Word Bearers? I think it was.
Yeah, Calth.
And that was the one, Calth. And the Invictaris Suzerains were the first Forge World models that I brought for my Ultramarines, and the detail on them and the just the sculpts that Forge World gave us were just absolutely stunning. They are my favourite, and I like the fact that literally they can be a bodyguard unit, and you can go, sorry, what was that? You've just issued a challenge. Dave from the Invictaris is going to accept that challenge, and now Jeff's going to accept it, and Gulliman can just stand there going, I'm going to hit you in the background. So they're right. I think they're brilliant.
One of the throwaway comments about 30k before was, it's just Marines against Marines, so boring. But now we're seeing more and more armies such as Colts, Solar, and now Demons popping up. Is that still a valid thought, or was it ever a valid thought based on the flavour of each legion and the rights of war?
Do you know what? I'm probably guilty of saying this. When Heresy first came out, it's just Marine versus Marine. And for the vast majority of it, it is just Marine versus Marine. However, you're right. The rights of war and the flavour that the books give us into each of the legions make you feel like it's not. And that is a testament to the writing of the guys with the rules and Alan Blythe when he was around, and he wrote some amazing rules for us. So it didn't feel like Marine on Marine. So I don't think the point was actually probably ever valid. And now, like you say, we're seeing more and more armies come into Heresy. And having the unfortunate pleasure of being drawn against a Chaos Demons army in a Heresy tournament I went to last year, and having them pop out of the warp literally right in front of you and going, heck, I didn't want that. It's brilliant. It adds a whole different flavour. You play a Legion, you kind of go, okay, I know what you're going to kind of do here, because you're going to do similar tactics to me, but with your Legion spin on it. So you could always kind of counter that. Now we're seeing stuff like you said, the Solar and stuff like that. It's a whole different play format, and it's brilliant. So I don't think it's ever been a valid point. Again, probably guilty of saying it myself when it first came out, but those Legion traits and those rights of war definitely make it not feel that way.
Is there a unit in the game that maybe you wish could do with like a little rules bump to try and bring them up to say the level they are in the books, or?
Oh, yeah, probably. Again, I'm going to probably go Ultramarines for this one, and I cannot remember the unit's name for the life of me. It is the Terminators that Gulliman stole from the Iron Warriors. I can't remember what they were called.
The
they're the ones, thank you. Probably them, because they are ace, but would I ever take them? No, probably not. I'd probably choose more Invictaris suzerain. So if they had a little bit of a rules bump and made them a little bit harder, I'd probably take them personally. But yeah, and also make some miniatures for them. Games Workshop, Forge World. Come on, how many years has it been?
I don't think they're listening.
No, probably not. But you know what? They might be. You never know, mate. You never know. Might be somebody at Forge World going, "Oh yeah, tell you what, let's go make those miniatures." They've been on a shelf for God knows how many years. But they need to pick up the Heresy again. They've been a bit slack. I know, okay, we've had, coronavirus to all deal with, but they have been a bit slack recently with the releases for Heresy, and we are starting to slowly see them come back out again. We've just had a Thousand Suns miniature previewed, I think, haven't we? But I think they need to pick it back up, because there's a lot of people out there that still play it, and at the moment, the ability to buy new things isn't there. So how long before those people that play it go, do you know what? Let's go try 9th. And that will kill it, and it'll be a big shame to see it go, personally.
Where do you think 30k will go once Horus is killed and the glorious Imperium win? Spoilers.
But do they? The Beast of Rising books, I think, are great. And as an orc player, I would like to see some massive orcs on the field. And, orcs back then were bigger than the orcs we've got now. And I'd like to see that, I think. I think I'd like to see the Beasts of Rises series covered. Or maybe even go prequel, maybe. Not all the way back to the Thunder Warriors and all that kind of stuff. But maybe during the Great Crusades, and about how, when everything was all good and, lovey in the Imperium before everything went to hell, thanks Erebus, and about the Crusade of the Planets and stuff like that, because you could use the miniatures from 40k in the 30k world. You've got Eldar out there, and you've got orcs, so why not bring them in and have games, and why not? If people want to see that, I would definitely do that as a video. Comment below.
Bolt action is now featuring more and more on your channel as it's growing in a passion between the two of you. Mm-hmm. Has this always been quietly thought about?
It has been one of those games that we've wanted to get into for quite some time. I said earlier about it's a past passion in my family. One of my uncles is a historian writer and covers this period quite a lot. And whenever you go around his house, he's always like, "Oh, look, I've written a new bit of book. Read this." Oh, do I have to? Honestly, it's a nightmare. But he does a lot about Bomber Command. So I've always been brought up around the Second World War, and as a kid, we'd always be going out to, you know, RAF Duxford or Cosford or anywhere like that. So I've always been brought up with Spitfires, Hurricanes, and, you know, airfix kits, and being brought the Spitfires and Messerschmitts and the B-17s and the Lanks. And that's probably my first ever experience of actual proper model building, probably like a lot of people out there, is those airfix kits. And I loved it. And then when I first saw bolt action, I was like, oh, this looks pretty good. I like the mechanics. And I like the fact that it's not just me go, you go, me go, you go. It's dice out of a bag, and that dice relates to one side of the battlefield. So it might be me go, then like you go, then you go again, then me go, or I might get lucky and get all my dice out, and then that leaves you to do everything in the bit of the turn. There's that dynamic of, I don't know what's coming next, that I really, really like with bolt action, and it is growing with popularity. Some of our most searched terms on YouTube are bolt action related. It's just been overtaken with 9th edition because everybody's out there looking at 9th. But some of our biggest searches are actual bolt action, and working quite closely with Foreground, who again provide us with scenery, and Warlord Games as well, because Warlord Games are literally like half an hour drive away from me. One of my friends who I used to go to a gaming club actually works in their shop, is actually their manager in the store, and, you know, we're building up really good relationships with Warlord Games as well, and they're on board and have supported us as well. They, you know, I mentioned to one of their sales staff that we really, really wanted to get into bolt action, but it's something we hadn't done yet. Took my details, and next thing you know, Warlord Games are sending us the Band of Brothers starter set to help us along our way, and they've been really, really supportive, and I'm you know, very thankful for them. And it's definitely a game that if that wasn't there, we'd definitely get into. We'd definitely get into it at a slower pace than what we have. But it's great fun. It is so cinematic. 40k is cinematic. But in our last bolt action battle report, I had a sniper in a church bell tower which was shot at by a tank. You could not get more Saving Private Ryan if you tried, and it was awesome, and it was brilliant, and it's just so cool.
Is there an entryway into the bolt action game if people are curious about it?
Yeah, there is. There's definitely a lot of the starter box sets out there. So the Band of Brothers box set that we got out there, you get everything that you need in that one box. It's you get the US airborne, you get some German, you get Hanomag vehicle in there as well for the Germans. You also get some scenery as well. And then you get the rule book, and you get basically everything you need to start playing, which is what we did. We didn't paint them up. My mate Keith painted them up for me, and then we started our first ever bolt action battle report just using that starter set. So everything that we used was from that, and you could do the same out there. And there are others out there as well. If you do, I don't really want the Americans. I want the British. There are other options out there, but a great entry point is their Band of Brothers box set, definitely.
So where can people find you on the internet?
Everywhere. No, we are obviously on YouTube. That is our main video source. We also are on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and probably places that I'm forgetting. We're on Pinterest as well. There you go. So yeah, we are literally kind of everywhere. The Instagram and Facebook are more the day-to-day side of it, so they're more posting pictures of armies that we're painting or scenery that we're building, little videos here and there. Same with Facebook as well. If we ever do anything live, we normally do it on Facebook or Instagram, where YouTube's more for the bigger videos, the battle reports, the more in-depth model reviews and all that kind of stuff. So for little snippets here and there, go search out Geeks Wargaming and you will find us, and you'll see what we're working on at the moment.
So I've always thought Pinterest was about food, so with that nice little segue, come to the final question. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
100% yes. If you say no, you're wrong. As long as it's with ham. That's you know, ham and pineapple pizza, Hawaiian, is brilliant. Now, I tell you what is weird, and I'm going to ask you this question. I recently had a pizza that had beetroot on it. Does beetroot belong on pizza?
No, it doesn't.
After trying it, you're right, it doesn't. It's really weird and actually quite horrible. But pineapple, yes.
No. The only thing beetroot belongs in is borscht, and everywhere else is just strange.
Honestly, beat it on a pizza, the weirdest thing I've ever tried.
Okay, Rich, thanks very much for taking time to answer my questions and have a chat. Hopefully people have enjoyed this.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's been really good, actually. It's been really good to answer these questions and having to think about some of the answers and stuff like that. It's been really interesting to get my old brain working. So thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for asking the questions. Happy wargaming.
Yeah.